Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
Today we are discussing Chapter 11, Escape.
And escape is the right word for it. We start this chapter with what looks like a clean victory. Zoro cuts Buggy into 3 pieces. Fight over, right?
Wrong. So wrong. The single most jarring moment for me was seeing a detached hand holding a knife just float up behind Zoro and plunge into his side.
It's a complete violation of how a fight is supposed to work. And if you want to make sure you never miss us breaking down moments like that, just follow the show. You don't want to get caught from behind like Zoro did here.
A good policy. So let's get into it. The chapter opens on the aftermath of Zoro's attack.
Yeah, Zoro is standing there, sword out, and Buggy is in pieces on the ground. A head, a torso, and his legs. Zoro just sheathes his sword, all casual, and says, "Now to get you out." He's already moved on. The fight is done in his mind. He's a man of absolute focus.
There's an incredible amount of confidence in that action. It's not arrogance, not exactly. It's certainty. From his perspective, he identified a threat. He applied his skill, and the threat was neutralized. The problem is solved. The world for Zoro operates on a very clear set of physical rules, and a person who has been sliced into thirds should, by all rights, be dead.
That's it. It's the swordsman's code. You land the perfect cut, the fight is over. You don't stand there and poke the body to make sure. That's dishonorable. He gave Buggy the respect of a clean finish. The idea that the fight could continue after that just isn't in his vocabulary yet. He's so focused on the next objective, freeing Luffy, that he completely drops his guard.
But Buggy's crew isn't panicking. They're laughing, and Nami immediately clocks it. She's thinking, why are they laughing? Their captain was just diced. That is perhaps the most unnerving part of the entire sequence.
Oh, absolutely. That's the tell. Oda is so good at using background reactions to build tension. If the crew had been screaming or crying, we'd feel relief. Zoro won. But they're cheering. They're acting like this was all part of the plan. The crew's confidence is more terrifying than any threat Buggy could make at that moment. It tells you that you, the reader, have missed something vital.
It's a form of dramatic irony where the audience and Nami are aligned in their confusion, while Zoro remains oblivious. The laughter of the crew suggests a deep, almost cult-like faith in their captain. They've seen this before. For them, this isn't a defeat, it's the prelude to Buggy's favorite party trick.
A super deadly party trick. And then it happens. Zoro is walking toward Luffy's cage, his back to the body, and suddenly he just stops. There's this tiny sound effect, a thwump, and a thin line of blood appears on his side. He looks down, and there's a blade sticking out of him.
The paneling here is masterfully done. We don't see the hand at first, we just see Zoro's shocked expression and the hilt of the knife. It forces the reader to question what happened. Did another enemy appear? Did he step on a trap? And then Oda reveals it. The hand holding the knife is just floating in midair.
It's pure body horror. A disembodied hand just hanging there in space, having just stabbed our hero. Then the rest of Buggy's body parts start floating up the ground. His torso zips up, his head flies back on top, and they all just click back into place behind Zoro like bloody, fleshy Legos. It's an absolutely perfect power reveal.
It's our first real look at a paramecia-type devil fruit other than Luffy's, and it immediately establishes how unpredictable they can be. This is the Bara Bara Nomi, the chop-chop fruit. Luffy's Gomu Gomu Nomi changed the property of his body, making it rubber. The Bara Bara Nomi changes the rules of his body. It can be separated, but it cannot be cut. It's the ultimate counter to a swordsman. Think about it. Zoro's entire life has been dedicated to one thing, cutting. Cutting stronger and stronger things. He wants to cut steel, to cut diamond, to cut anything. His greatest strength, his cutting power, is completely and utterly useless against this one specific guy. It does nothing to Buggy. That's not just blocking a sword, that's making the very concept of the sword irrelevant. It fundamentally breaks the rules of combat as Zoro understands them. It's a conceptual counter, not just a physical one. Imagine training your entire life to become the world's greatest pianist, and your first major rival is a man who is deaf and feels no vibrations. Your art form has no way to affect him. That's the crisis Zoro is facing here.
And you can see that on his face. The shock isn't just from the pain of the stab wound. It's a deeper, more existential shock. What I do didn't work. My entire path is useless here. It's the first time since meeting Luffy that his strength has comprehensively failed him.
And Buggy knows it. He relishes it. He's gloating that he missed Zoro's vital organs, but he did it on purpose. He wanted Zoro to be alive to appreciate the despair of the situation. The damage is done, not just to Zoro's body, but to his confidence.
The hero who came to do the rescuing now needs rescuing himself. And you can see it on Zoro's face. He's completely thrown. He came here to prove his strength and save his captain, and he got taken down by a cheap shot from a guy he thought he'd already beaten. That's gotta sting worse than the knife.
While Nami is just stunned by the existence of another devil fruit user, her world is expanding very rapidly, in a very violent way. Luffy's reaction is very different. He's not shocked by the power. He's not analyzing the mechanics of it. He's just furious.
He is so mad. But he's not mad that Zoro is losing. He's not mad that the fight is hard. He's mad that Buggy stabbed him in the back. For Luffy, that's the ultimate crime. It's a coward's move. It violates his entire code of honor. He yells at him, calling him a jerk. And, of course, the one thing that will set him off. Big nose.
Which is, as we know, the one thing you must never do. Buggy completely loses his composure. All his smugness, his theatrical flair, his enjoyment of Zoro's despair, it all evaporates in an instant. He's reduced to pure, sputtering rage.
It's such a great character beat. This powerful, seemingly untouchable guy has the most fragile ego imaginable. His invulnerability to swords is a fantastic shield, but his ego has no such defense. And Luffy, even from inside a tiny steel cage, found the one chink in his armor, the one button to press, and just slammed it with his whole fist.
It speaks to a deep-seated insecurity. We don't know why yet, but that nose is clearly a source of immense shame for him. And Luffy, with his childlike directness, goes right for it. It's not even a calculated insult. Luffy is just calling it as he sees it. That's what makes it so effective. He's not trying to be clever. He's just being honest. And that honesty is more cutting than any of Zoro's swords.
Buggy is so mad, he decides to ignore the injured Zoro completely. The main threat is now the kid in the box who insulted his nose. Priorities, man. He detaches his hand again, knife and all, and sends it flying at Luffy's cage to shut him up for good.
But Luffy just leans forward and catches the blade between his teeth. He doesn't even flinch. Trapped in a steel cage, unable to use his powers to stretch or fight back, and he still finds a way to be completely defiant.
That panel is legendary. The sheer audacity. He can't punch it, he can't dodge it, so he just bites it. It's such a Luffy solution. Just pure, uncut willpower made manifest. He's saying, this cage doesn't matter. This knife doesn't matter. I am still here, and I am still a threat to you. It's a promise. That's a captain. That's the man Zoro chose to follow. Even when he's helpless, he's still protecting his crew. He's drawing all the fire to himself, taking the heat off the injured Zoro. He's making himself the primary target through sheer annoyance. It's a brilliant, if reckless, tactic.
And of course, Buggy and his crew just laugh at him. To them, he's just a kid in a box making empty threats. They don't see the danger. They see the cage and assume he's neutralized. They can't comprehend the kind of person who would bite a knife. They lack the imagination to be truly afraid of him yet.
They really don't. Luffy then turns to Zoro, and his whole tone changes. It's not angry or defiant anymore. It's the calm, clear voice of a captain giving an order. He tells him to forget about him and just run.
Nami is completely lost. She's watching this unfold and she can't understand it. From her perspective, Zoro is the only one who can fight. Luffy is trapped. Telling your only free crewmate to abandon you goes against all logic of survival. It's a forfeiture.
But Zoro gets it. Instantly. There's no hesitation, no, what are you talking about? I'm not leaving you. He just hears the order and understands there's a bigger plan in motion, or at least that Luffy has a reason. The trust between them is already that strong. It feels like they just met, and they already have this perfect, unspoken understanding.
That non-verbal communication is what really defines their relationship. Luffy provides the impossible idea, the grand emotional direction. Zoro provides the immediate, unquestioning execution. Luffy says run, Zoro runs. He trusts that Luffy has a reason, even if he doesn't know what it is. He trusts the will of his captain over his own protective instincts.
So Zoro starts to move, but Buggy isn't letting him go that easily. He shouts out the name of his attack, which is always a great sign. It's the Bara Bara no Ho.
The Chop Chop cannon, which is not a cannon at all. He launches his own feet, shoes and all, straight at Zoro to try and trip him up.
Which is still one of the weirdest attacks in the whole series, just launching your shoes at a guy. But it shows how much control he has. He can use any part of his body as a projectile. Imagine if he detached his fist and just had it fly around punching people from across the room. The potential is huge, but right now he's just kicking from a distance.
It is a bit undignified, isn't it? But it demonstrates the principle. He has a 360-degree field of attack. He can effectively be in multiple places at once.
Zoro dodges and makes a run for it, but not toward the exit as Nami expects. He runs right for the giant cannon loaded with the buggy ball.
And in one motion, he grabs the entire massive thing. This has to weigh hundreds of pounds, maybe more, and spins it around to face Buggy and his crew. The absolute raw, unfiltered strength of this man, even while bleeding out from a gut wound. He just manhandles a cannon like it's a rolled-up newspaper. Super.
And now the plan is clear. It's a classic example of turning the enemy's strength against them. Zoro can't fight Buggy, so they'll use Buggy's own ultimate weapon to create a diversion. But he's wounded, holding the cannon with both hands. He can't light the fuse.
And that's when Nami steps up. For the first time, she's not just an observer or a thief waiting in the wings. She becomes an active participant in their fight. She runs over and lights the fuse.
It's a calculated decision on her part. She analyzes the situation and concludes that her best path to survival and to getting that map of the Grand Line is to help these two escape. Her self-interest is momentarily and critically aligned with theirs.
But it feels like more than that, doesn't it? She chose a side. She could have just used the chaos to run on her own. She had no obligation to them. But she ran toward the danger to help them. She is part of the team in this moment, even if she won't admit it yet.
She saw Luffy's defiance and Zoro's loyalty, and something in her decided, okay, I'll bet on these guys.
It's the first crack in her cynical exterior. She operates on a cost-benefit analysis, but for the first time, helping someone else has entered the equation as a benefit. She's still acting out of self-preservation, but the scope of who is included in herself is beginning to expand.
The cannon fires. The explosion is huge. It's not just a regular cannonball. This is a buggy ball. It rips apart the roof of the bar they're on and sends the buggy pirates flying. Smoke and chaos everywhere. It is a work of art, a beautiful, destructive masterpiece.
It is the perfect escape. In the ensuing confusion, Zoro casually asks Nami who she is. He's finally getting around to introductions. She gives her classic line, "I'm a thief who steals from pirates."
It's her whole identity. That's how she sees herself. It's her shield. But Luffy, from inside the cage, just yells over the noise that she's their navigator.
He just claims her. There was no discussion, no job interview. He has seen her skills with maps and her understanding of the sea, and he has decided. In his mind, the position is filled. It's a statement of fact.
I love it so much. It's not a request, it's a declaration. This is the person who will get us to the Grand Line. Welcome to the crew. It completely bypasses all of her defenses. She wants to be seen as a cunning thief, an independent operator. Luffy just sees her as a vital part of his dream.
And Nami, of course, immediately denies it. She's shouting, "Don't decide that on your own." She is not ready to be roped into this level of madness. She helped them for a specific transactional purpose. She's not signing up for a lifetime of this.
Too late. The Straw Hat recruitment process is non-negotiable. Once Luffy decides, it's only a matter of time before reality catches up to his will. You're on the ship, Nami. Just accept it.
While the buggy pirates are trying to recover from being blown up, Zoro goes back to Luffy's cage. Luffy's telling him to find the key, but Zoro, being Zoro, has a much direct solution.
He just lifts the whole cage.
He just picks it up and starts running.
The whole cage. The man is bleeding from a serious stab wound. He just wrestled a giant cannon, and now he's just carrying his captain, cage and all, across the rooftops of Orange Town. That is Zoro in a nutshell. Why look for a key when you can just lift the building?
It's pure brute force problem solving. It's inefficient, it's illogical, but it's immediate, and it works. It's the perfect encapsulation of his character.
Where others see a lock, Zoro sees a weight to be lifted, and it's another moment of trust. Luffy doesn't question it. He's just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now, and enjoys the ride.
By the time Buggy's men get their bearings, our crew is gone, vanished into the smoke.
And one of the crew members points out something huge. The key to the cage, which Buggy had on his belt, is also gone.
And with the key gone, you have to suspect one person in particular. I have a feeling she helped them, but also secured her own leverage. She played both sides of the moment perfectly. She may have ensured their escape, solidifying a potential alliance, while also making sure they'd still need her to finish the job. It feels like she's trying to stay in control.
She's always thinking 5 steps ahead. She's not just along for the ride, she's trying to direct it. She lit the fuse, and I bet she also picked Buggy's pocket in the chaos. That is some super high-level multitasking right there.
It would certainly fit her character. It would mean her decision to help was pragmatic, not purely altruistic, but it would also show her competence. To have the presence of mind to pull off a perfect act of theft in the middle of a massive explosion, that would make her, without a doubt, an incredibly skilled thief.
And the chapter ends with the big man himself, Buggy, fully reassembled and absolutely furious. He's been beaten, humiliated, his prisoners have escaped, and the key to their cage is gone, all because some kid in a box called him Big Nose.
His authority has been challenged, his pride wounded, and his property stolen. For a pirate captain, that's a trifecta of unforgivable insults.
And he does what any self-respecting pirate captain would do. He screams and declares all-out war. He's going to fire every buggy ball he has and destroy the entire town to get them. He doesn't care about the collateral damage. He just wants revenge.
It raises the stakes significantly. This isn't just a fight between two crews anymore. An entire town is about to become a battlefield, and its citizens are hostages. This forces a moral choice on Luffy. He can no longer just run. His actions have now endangered innocent people.
What a chapter. The power reveal, the back and forth teamwork, Luffy's declaration, it's all just setting the pieces for a massive confrontation. This is the first time the crew feels like a real crew. The first 3-person coordinated attack, even if one of them was in a box and another one doesn't know she's on the team yet. Super.
It's a crucible. Oda is forging the bonds of this crew in the heat of an impossible situation. Their individual skills are on display. Luffy's will, Zoro's strength, Nami's cunning, but it's how they combine, even clumsily, that allows them to succeed.
Exactly. And it's wild to think about the man behind the curtain. Oda's author comment for this chapter really stood out to me.
It did to me too. He says, translated, "Even though the serialization has exceeded 10 issues, I'm still not used to the weekly pace. Oh, how amazing the professionals are."
That's wild to think about. He's delivering chapters this dense with this much setup, character work, iconic panels, and perfect power reveals, and he feels like he's still just getting started and struggling with the pace. It just shows the level of genius we're dealing with. He's not satisfied with this. He wants to do better.
It's a reminder of the sheer effort and relentless pressure that goes into creating this world for us every single week for over 20 years. That feeling of not being used to the rhythm was his constant companion. It's humbling to consider.
Absolutely. Let us know in the comments which part of this chapter really stuck with you. Was it the Bara Bara reveal, Zoro manhandling the cannon, or Luffy biting the knife? We want to know what you think.
Now for predictions. We do this every week, trying to guess what's coming next based on what we've seen.
What do you think is coming in Chapter 12, Franky?
Okay, prediction 1 for me. We're going to see Nami use that key as a bargaining chip. It's too good a setup to ignore. She's not just going to unlock the cage out of the goodness of her heart. She's going to hold it up and say something like, "I'll let him out if you promise to help me get all of Buggy's treasure, or maybe give me 100 million berries." She's going to leverage it to force them into a contract that benefits her.
That feels very in character. She has the solution to their biggest problem, and she's not going to give up that advantage for free. She needs to ensure she gets something out of this dangerous alliance.
Exactly. And my second prediction is that we're going to get our first proper one-on-one fight with another member of the Buggy Pirates. The grunts are out of the way. Buggy is the big boss. It's time for the officers. I'm betting Buggy will send out his first mate, Moji, the beast tamer, with his giant lion, Richie, to hunt them down. It's time for Luffy to get out of that cage and actually fight an officer, a real test of his strength, not just his willpower.
A classic structure. The captain deals with the grunts, then the officers, then the big boss. I can see that playing out. Okay, my turn. My first prediction is that we'll learn more about the mayor of Orangetown, Boodle. We've seen him briefly, but now Buggy has threatened the entire town. I think the mayor will try to stand up to him to protect the townspeople, fail spectacularly, and that will be the trigger for Luffy to get serious. It will personalize the conflict beyond just his crew and give him a reason to be a hero, not just a pirate.
Ooh, I like that. Giving Luffy a reason to fight for the whole island, not just for himself or his map. He's not just getting his treasure back, he's protecting the weak. That feels very Luffy.
And my second prediction, a bit more specific. We'll see another application of Buggy's power. We've seen him immune to slashes, and we've seen him use his body parts as projectiles. I predict we'll see him use it for espionage or reconnaissance. He'll detach his hands, or maybe even just his head, and send them flying around the town to spy on Luffy's group and find out where they're hiding. We'll see the utility of the fruit, not just its combat potential.
A floating head listening in on their plans? That is a creepy thought, and totally something a trickster like Buggy would do. It's a flashy power, but it's also got some really sneaky uses. Solid predictions all around.
We'll see next week if we were right. It seems the chaotic escape is only the beginning of a much larger battle for Orangetown.
You bet it is. This is going to be super. Until then, thanks for listening to Inherited Dawn.
We'll see you on the next time.